The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Moscow Fire, Idaho, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31503. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start down at the front bumper. Starting first on the face of the bumper, you have dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. On the passenger side, you have an electronic siren and speaker. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find two attachment point or forward-facing hooks. Moving up onto the bumper, you'll find in the center a tubbed storage location for your front bumper line. And on the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren mounted on the top of the bumper. Also on the sides of the bumper, you'll find emergency warning lights. Let's go ahead and move up onto the top in the body area. First, we'll start with the low and high beam headlights. Low beam is on the outer side, and on the inner section would be the high beam. Moving up from that point, you'll find two forward-facing emergency lights. Next to them, clustered in the same area, are the turn indicators. You have a seamless one-piece windshield with 3 windshield wipers. At the very top, you'll find your running lights. Moving further up, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. And at the very top, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Got a couple close-ups of these images that we just talked about. First, starting down on the front bumper, you can see the 1.5" discharge port swivel. You can also see the attachment points here. Now looking at the headlights, in addition with the emergency warning and turn. Let's look at the side of the apparatus. On the driver's side, you'll find the drain for your front bumper. You'll also find in the cutout area beneath the door an air inlet. Moving upward, you'll find the marker light, forward facing, and side indicator. You have a single mirror, although they are split. The lower section is convex and the upper portion is flat. Your door locks are keyed entry. You also have a variety of handrails for operators and firefighters to get inside. Moving all the way to the section just over the front tire, you'll find your auto eject shore power, and moving all the way up to the top, you'll find a side-facing scene light, and to the very back of the cab, you'll find your tank water level indicator. Once again, a couple of close-ups of those items that we just talked about. Let's start now just inside the cab. When plugged into shore power, this will activate, which is your auto shore charger. There's also some warning stickers and hazard stickers on your apparatus. Familiarize yourself with those. First, let's start with some warning indications. You'll also find on this door panel the yellow sticker here indicating manufactured by Pierce. This is the Pierce identification. It has your year of manufacture, April of 2018, job number. It also has gross vehicle weight rating. Just beneath that, it will have tires and rims for size and pressures. And as you move further down, this is a location you can also find the VIN number and also the type of emergency vehicle, your paint colors, and at the very bottom, all of your fluid capacities for components and fluid capacity and fluid type. You'll also find the VIN number on the A pillar. Let's go ahead and move up onto the door itself. You'll find this indication placard for height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating, and you'll also find your job number. Let's go ahead and move down to the section that would be about mid-calf of the driver. This is a quarter-turn battery switch in silver. Moving to the right is the engine, transmission, and ABS diagnostic port. Moving down, you have a future switch location, ABS diagnostic, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. Moving further down onto the floor, you'll find a foot pedal for the mechanical siren. And here is a close-up of the auto charger. This will activate once again when plugged into shore power. Let's go ahead and move to the dash area. First on the left-hand side is your ignition. Moving up from that location is the start switch. And as we move just inside of that, a small cluster on the dash panel, you'll find 3 switches here. First, the EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master. This is an all activation switch. There is also your headlights, parking lights, and your panel dim rocker. Looking at the dash itself, you'll find this broken into 3 sections. First, there are a set of 4 gauges on the left-hand side, center gauges, and also the right-hand side. Those housing water, temperature, oil pressure, tachometer, speedometer, volts, fuel, front and rear air. Moving down just about right knee height, you'll find your pump shift. This is to shift from pump to road and from road to pump. There's also a pump engaged and an OK to pump indicator. Moving just up to this location to the right, you'll find your main mirror control and also convex mirror controls. Moving upward from that location on the dash, you'll find the high idle indicator and the OK high idle switch. Moving to the right, you'll find your system parking brake, push to apply, pull to release. To the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad and digital readout. Moving further up from that location on the panel, you'll find your engine brake on off, engine brake low, medium, and high, some future switch locations, mirror heat, and your load manager. Let's move just once again to the right again. You'll find just up from that location the generator PTO, generator engaged PTO. You'll also find future switches and your chain protected switch for ground chains. And also to the right, you'll find your windshield wiper, push to apply fluid. Up on the top, you'll find your monitor for your reverse camera. And all the way to the far right, difficult in this image, you'll find your climate control. Let's look overhead. First, a general view here of the switches that are overhead of the operator. Let's go ahead and break those down individually. First, Emergency Master, siren and horn, electric horn, and also your air horn. And then you have a red siren brake, a future switch, and then also on the far right is your front floods. Let's go over to the right of this location, still over the operator's head. We'll find your driver scene, passenger scene, driver side rear flood, passenger side rear flood, driver side flood, and passenger side flood. All of these, as you can see in the green, have an indicator. When they are on, they will illuminate, indicating that the light is on. Let's move further to the right. About the center of the cab, we'll find your electronic siren control and PA system. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Pierce seatbelt informational display, first indicating if the seat is occupied but not belted. They will indicate as in red. If the person is occupying the seat with the belt on, they'll indicate in green. Let's move overhead of the operator. You'll see you have push on, push off, red and white lights. And also moving just to the right, you'll find your attachment point here for your headset system. And then I would like to point just forward of the cab. In the next image, it'll be a little bit more visible. This is a red light that will indicate not to move the apparatus, indicating that you have a door or something is not secured on your vehicle. Let's go ahead and move to the very back section of the apparatus. Looking in from the cab, you can find on the door hinge side, you'll find assist for firefighters getting in and out of the cab. You'll also find your heat down at the lower section. And as we look inside your SCBAs, you have 2 rear-facing SCBAs that are smart docked. Looking overhead, you'll find your headsets and your air conditioning unit. Looking down in the center, you'll find your access door for gaining entry into the engine compartment, where you'll find all of your checks for daily checks. Once again, engine oil and also transmission. Let's take a look at the back wall. You have 2 forward-facing SCBAs here. They are also smart dock. And overhead, you'll find your Firecom headset system plug-in for those 2 seats. We're going to focus in the area mid-section of your apparatus. We'll start first at the very top section, and then we'll move down to the pump panel side and talk a little bit about some of the functionality here. First, let's start underneath. This is an LED light where the steps are located. Also, just up from that location, there is a latch to gain entrance into the compartment on each side of the apparatus for storage. We're now looking at the pass-through location. You'll find sufficient lighting here for your step lights at night. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the panel section. generalized view here, we'll start on the left-hand side, which is the passenger side. We're going to go ahead and move through these valves. First, large diameter passenger side discharge in green. In orange, number 2 passenger side discharge. In the brown color, you'll find the reel blowout, which is a turn, not a pull, and your reel discharge. Further to the right, passenger side 2.5 pre-connect, and also your tank fill recirculating line. This is also the location for the placard from Pierce regarding your test pressures for 150, 200, and 250 psi, your deluge discharge, and then there's also a warning label here regarding a fall hazard and never to ride on this vehicle while it is currently in motion. Moving to the right hand side, you'll find your fire primer. Up at the very top, you'll have priming instructions. It should be at least 1000 RPMs prior to engaging the primer. You have a tank to pump. You have the various discharge here for driver rear discharge, front discharge, and 2.5-inch crosslay discharge. Moving once again, white 2.5-inch number 2 crosslay. Correction, that's 1.5 inches. Moving to the right, number 1 crosslay, 1.5 inches, and number 3 driver side, which is a 2.5, and also the 2.5-inch for your number 1. You also have your driver auxiliary inlet. Moving up just above the valves, you'll find your Husky foam system. There is an information here on the Husky 3 system and also your foam level tank on the right hand side. Let's go ahead and move to the right. You'll find your engine cooler. Once again, instructions to turn to the left to open, close, turn to the right. It is not a pull. Once again, water level, full, 3/4, half, and quarter, and then refill will flash if it is low. That's your tank water level. Moving to the right, we're going to find your discharge gauges. We're going to find master intake. First on the left, your master intake and master discharge. Just beneath that, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure, currently plugged. And then let's move further to the right hand side and we'll talk a little bit about some of the information to the right. At the very top, you'll find your check transmission. This is an amber light that will activate if that is necessary. Just beneath that, you'll find a speaker, which is adjustable for volume. Moving to the right, you'll find your TPG, which is your throttle pressure control governor. And then moving all the way to the right, you'll find your bank of switches here, clearly identified and labeled. Panel lights, pump engaged is an indicator, driver side scene, passenger side scene lights. You have a spare. Moving back to the top, you have driver side flood, passenger side flood, and then 3 additional spare. At the very bottom, you can see the red air horn. That is a push. Let's go ahead and take a look up on the very top. On the passenger side and driver side, you can see that there are 2 floodlights located in this location. Located in the center is your extend-a-gun, which is the monitor for the midship location. Let's go ahead and take a look at the crosslay section. Looking at the crosslay, number 1 crosslay, they are foam capable, and the number 2 crosslay, clearly color coded with a center divider. Let's go ahead and now move to the driver's side panel. We'll talk about some of the items within the driver's side panel. First, starting at the very top, you'll find your cab lift. This is a protected switch. There is a raise and lower. There are clear instructions on how to operate raising and lowering the cab, and then the activate switch. To the right, you'll find also a pan style door for accessing behind the panel. Moving down, you'll find at the left hand side, this is your Watrous pump. This is the information regarding the type of pump that's on your apparatus. Moving to the right, you'll find in red the number 1, just beneath that the number 3. You also have a warning label here regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards. As we move further down, you're also going to find your large diameter intake. To the right, you'll find your foam lever, and as we move down further, you'll find your auxiliary inlet. This is your minimum operating maintenance schedule. Moving back up to that left-hand side, once again, this is that Watrous pump information. You have an CSU pump, the transmission model, and the date of manufacture. Moving downward, you'll find your cutout location for your large diameter hose. Moving to the right, you'll find fold-up steps on the right-hand side. You also have a generalized work light at the very top, facing downward into the crosslays. And also, once again, those fold-up steps ranging from the bottom all the way to the top. Let's take a look at the side of the apparatus as we move through these. First, you'll find a set of emergency lights and also
side-facing floodlights. You also have additional marker lights. And as we work through some of the items, you'll find your fold-up steps down at the very bottom of the apparatus, in the rear, just behind the rear wheel. And then, of course, in the front, we'll talk a little bit about this. These are some of your drains. They're kind of hidden, but they are underneath the apparatus. This is your pump drain. These are levers, not twist. Moving up into the number 1 compartment, you're going to find first a large electrical panel. That electrical panel houses all of your breaker switches, and then just beneath that, you'll see you have your generator information here regarding the amps. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups. Once again, marker light here on your driver's side. These are going to be pan-style doors. This occupies your SCBAs, and also it offers your DEF. The DEF is a blue cap, and as we move just to the rear of that section, directly over the rear tire, you'll find in a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move up to the very top to the next compartment, this compartment offers a pegboard tool board. Once this tool board latch has been released and it opens, you'll find on the left-hand side of the hinge side, there is a release mechanism to allow it to restore back to its original position. As we move to the rear tire of this pan door, you'll find SCBA storage and also your silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel fuel only. Just behind the rear wheel, you'll find a generator outlet. This is a 20 amp 120 VAC. Here's a close-up shot of your folding wheel chocks. Generalized view here of the very last compartment in the corner here. This does have a pull-out shelf. There's a release mechanism on the bottom right side of the slider. Let's look at the back of the apparatus. First, starting on the left, you'll find all of your brake, turn, and reverse lights. You'll also find an additional generator outlet. Moving up from that location, you can see that the 2 pole style lights can be extended further up. These are floodlights. Let's go ahead and move down. This is the control for those floodlights. They're individually switched. Moving to the center, you'll find your backup camera. You'll find sufficient grab handles throughout the rear of the apparatus for firefighter safety and gaining access aloft. And at the very back end of the apparatus, you'll find your rollers for your booster line. You also have a 2.5-inch discharge. I would like to advise you of those warning labels once again. And let's move all the way up to the top. You can see in the lid of the apparatus, you'll find 2 backboard storage locations. Here are some close-ups once again as we work through those. Once again, back up to the top. This is those access points. This is a latch twist, and it gains access to the backboard storage. Let's go ahead and move down to the roll-up compartment, which houses your booster line or red line. You'll find first a push button to rewind. You'll also find just beneath that, you'll find this red tightening rod. This will tighten or loosen depending on the tension of the reel. Also down located for ease, you have a high amp bus. The red button is a breaker reset. Let's move to your ladder compartment. There's a 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof. As we move up to the very top, you'll find your 10-foot folding, and then you have pike poles and assorted long tools up in the upper left-hand corner of this compartment. Generalized view here of the side of your apparatus and rear. We'll now move to the side of the apparatus on the passenger side, cover some of those items next. Side of your apparatus has a similar configuration as the opposite side with its lighting and arrangements of compartments. I would like to direct you to the lower corner here where the sticker is at. This is extremely hot diesel exhaust, and be cautious as to where you park your vehicle. The rear compartment does have an additional slide out compartment, and that is the latch location. You also have generator outlet access here. Once again, this is a 20 amp. Moving to the right, the difference here is it does not have your diesel or DEF in this location, but it does have additional bottle storage. Once again, there is a tool board located on this side. As we move through and the door is open, you'll find the location here of the release pin to restore that back to its original position. Emergency lights, same as the opposite side. Once again, this is the front pan. This has SCBA bottle storage. There is no access here for DEF or diesel fuel. Here's a close-up here of that sticker regarding exhaust gets extremely hot. Be cautious as to where you park. Moving forward, you'll find adjustable shelves currently in a fixed position. As we look inside the compartment, you'll find Shoreline generator outlet. Once again, 120 VAC, 20 amp. Underneath this side, this is the passenger side, you'll find this discharge, which is for your intake. It should not be capped. Large diameter intake. Moving to the right, you'll find your large diameter discharge. This is the green all the way on the left-hand side of the panel. You'll also find a pan style access point. Number 2 and number 1 crosslight, once again foam capable. Same step configuration as the driver's side with the latch and also the compartment storage. We'll now move up to the cab. Pretty much the same configuration as far as items located here. Let's go ahead and move inside the cab, rear section of the cab. First, you'll find the red hinge straps for assisting firefighters in and out of the cab. You'll also find door warning labels here regarding the use of seat belts. You can see the seat belts are clearly red for identifying for ease for the operator before he begins to travel. Overhead, you have your air conditioning unit and your FireCom headset system. Let's move to the front cab passenger side. As we move inside, your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag system. Do not block this area. Moving up onto the dash, you'll also find 12-volt access points. The arrow's indicating now for your windshield fill. You have an electronic siren and also an air horn. Moving forward down onto the dash, you have two 12-volt barrel-style access points and also a USB-style 12-volt access point. Let's go ahead and look overhead of the passenger seat. You'll find push-on red and white lights. You'll also find your FireCom headset system. Looking overhead, you'll find access locations for future switches. This is currently outfitted with your front flood. Congratulations, Moscow Volunteer Fire Department, Idaho, on your new apparatus, job number 31503. If you have any questions regarding the video or content, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Congratulations and good luck.